Hello, my name is Kayla Watterson, and today I'm going to be talking to you about truth in literature. When we think of truth, we oftentimes think about someone being honest or not lying. But what about in literature? What exactly does that mean? In literature, we find different kinds of truth. One of the most obvious things is that the author might just trying to tell a real or factual account. Truth can also be found in other ways, though. The most important aspect of truth in literature is the way it makes us feel. It's all about us emotionally connecting to that piece of writing. And that's because we can understand what an author is trying to convey better. To me, truth is so important in my life. Without truth, would we know anything at all? We wouldn't be able to know the difference between what is real and what is not, or whether someone's lying or telling the truth. Without truth, our feelings and emotions would basically be irrelevant. This is applied to literature because emotions are put into words that an author is writing. That is why we read literature, so we can connect to something other than the people and the world around us. Without truth, how would we understand what an author is trying to convey? How would we connect directly to an author? A story does not necessarily need to be true factually in order to be good. Fairy tales are an example of this. They're known famously for being happy and teaching a lesson. And Cinderella is the perfect example of this. It's not factually true, but it teaches us a story and we can emotionally connect to it. We know there's no such thing as fairy godmothers and we're not going to meet our Prince Charming and fall in love right away. But Cinderella is something that gives us hope and says that there's something better for us out there. That's the purpose of fairy tales. But personally, I like real life stories. I like to read things that actually happened. I think sometimes they're a little bit harder to read emotionally because we know that these things that we're reading about actually happened to people like myself and you. Real life stories make us appreciate what we have in our lives. The Charge of the Light Brigade is an example of this. I had to read it a couple of times because it was kind of hard to understand and I had to do a little of background research. It's about a real story and how this army felt. They knew they were going to die, but they did it for their country. I know people whose family members have passed away in war, and that's what I kept thinking about when reading this. It makes me sad to a point, but it also makes me very proud that there's people like this who would want to fight for us and for our freedom. Literature also doesn't have to be a story to be good or true. It can just be an expression of emotion in general. This is what is also really powerful to me. In Shakespeare's sonnet 138, when my love swears that she is made of truth, we read about adoration. This was also hard for me to understand, and I had to read it quite a few times. Shakespeare puts so many emotions into his works. Some are tragic, and some are full of love, and some have both in them. This shows truth because of what I've said before. It's the most important aspect is the emotion behind the writing. Whether a story or piece of literature be true or fiction, it's all about how it makes us feel. We all connect on different levels to a piece of literature, and that's what makes it true to us, and that is all that matters.